Thanks, you guys.
Good morning, Kathy Funk Baxter, Finance Director. So finance is up on our budget workshop today. Do we have any? Okay. Short. Okay, we have our OAS presentation. And so we start off talking a little bit about the revenues that are actually in our department. And we're anticipating bringing in a little less in revenues, about 65,000. And that's because we allocate our personnel services, and part of our budget presentation is today we're going to be recommending reducing 1 FTE in the finance department. So getting right into it, personnel, we're recommending the position that I currently hold, which is finance director, to reduce that. I'm going to retire in December, and looking at that, we feel that we could maintain status quo with 2 FTEs, which is a finance manager and our finance analyst. So that would reduce our budget approximately $130,000. Because after that, there isn't a lot that we can cut in our budget. So we did reduce some other items in supplies, about $2,600. And then we also reduced some other areas in services, about $5,000. So for a total budget reduction of $138,000. And most of the reductions were in travel-related lines and things like that. Then we also have our mailroom services. And here we just have a part-time person that processes our outgoing mail. And so we've tried to reduce a few things here, basically a total of $612. Non-departmental is one of our larger budgets that we oversee, and this has the majority of the revenues in this fund is from our lease payment that we receive from the landfill. That's the 7.5 million per year that we receive from that. The other fund is an interfund transfer, but it's basically to cover debt servicing for the morgue, and that's transferred from capital improvements account, and that's about 300,000. So those are the largest things. And then we have some franchise fees, royalties that we receive from cable, and we're anticipating that to be about $350,000 a year. It shows that we have a reduction from last year to this year, but that's because last year we received a one-time payment reimbursement from risk management. Non-departmental expenses. There wasn't much that we could reduce in this area, but we did look at some historical trends, and we were able to reduce about $24,000 from that overall budget. Most of this is related to transfers out to various departments that that we're supplementing a few, but the biggest one is for our debt servicing, for the landfill debt servicing. And that's it. Do we have another slide? We have a few other, let me see if there's another slide. Did we send one? Let me look. See if there was another one. Nope. That's commissioners. I don't see it. We have a few other accounts that we manage as well, but they're not part of the general fund, like the Rural Public Facilities Fund. We basically analyze that on a yearly basis, and whatever we receive in, we let y'all know what's available. It's usually about $3 million, 2.8 to $3 million on that. And then we have, what was some of the other ones? Oh, affordable housing, which is part of the document recording fees. That's small.
Yeah.
It was a very small amount.
Can I ask a question on the rural funds? I know we looked into ours because we're no longer a county designated as rural, but we'll still start receiving that.
We'll still be
But I've seen
receiving.
things like from EDC and different agencies that put applications in for different funds if they're not a rural, not designated rural. Now, it's going to make it more difficult for them to get,
Right.
tap into some of those funds. Do we have any others within our arena that are tied like that? Do you know of?
I don't know of any per se, but
I think this is just the one we receive and we're not looking at other stuff.
yeah, I don't know if there's any related to facilities, for example.
I
because
don't
we're
know if
looking-
other departments, if they apply for different grants or stuff, is there a rural designation kicker that gives you anything that you're aware of? I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out if there's stuff out there and we should be aware.
I don't know in the health arena if there's anything either. I would assume there might be.
From the public works grant side, most of it's going to be on the economic income levels of the areas, not the real designation
Not
of
the
those.
designation, okay. And I thought we had agreement, you're staying here as long as,
As long,
or was that only my side?
well, I said I would try, but I'm
Well,
getting,
through
ti-
December
I'm getting-
2026, right?
just, no, 25.
I'm up here as a, just to speak, I guess, on behalf, hopefully on Public Works at least, if Mike gives the head nod. I want to echo the same sentiment. I don't want Kathy to go. I don't want her position to go. I talked to her ahead of time, let her know. I see that there could be some hardships from departments like ours who rely on that position heavily. Not only just from, of course, a finance with the obvious perspective, but it's a non-political position at the admin building that kind of provides by de facto leadership, right? I mean, we go to Kathy a lot. She makes recommendations for, or maybe not always for, or against departments. It's a resource. I'm a little worried with it going. We've seen it come and go. Over the last, I don't know, 6, 7 years, we've had, Claire, Kurt, Tracy, Kathy. And there's always a period kind of like of instability when that position's not filled because it's non-political, because it, like I said, it acts almost as, not to like to say the administrator word, but honestly it does as far as practical, application goes. We use that a lot, that role. I have some really recent examples of when we've used, I say used, worked with Kathy or other finance directors, River Suites, the ability for us to move forward in that purchase was heavily influenced by Kathy's ability to help us find funding. I think that if she was not in that role or that role didn't exist, I don't know that that would have happened, to be honest, because we don't have the capacity to chase down these budgets and what funding's okay for what, when, and where. The other example I had was the Legacy Park Rural Development Funds. We may not have been able to do that project without that funding application and approval. Actually, I was kind of worried and scared about it. I think I shared that with this board. And then the other example is the HOJ HVAC. Kathy was able to recommend law and justice funds to help us get us over that edge to be able to fund that project and not use external loans or external very heavily regulated grants. And so those are just like in the last, 6 months to 8 months that we've relied on and utilized her ability and leadership. Again, taking Kathy out of it, I don't want her to go. But that role, I think, is very influential with departments like ours in our ability to get things done. And I don't think we would be able to get as many things done as we have in the last couple of years if it wasn't for Kathy or Tracy before her, or Kurt. So that's it. I think we'll have a short-term gain, maybe saving $150,000 a year, but I'm wondering what we'll lose countywide if we don't have that position. So that's all. That's all I wanted to say. I really have no skin in the game. I'm not interested in the position. I won't apply for it, but I think that getting somebody in there that could provide leadership by de facto, maybe not by title, would be helpful. But that's it. Thanks.
Anything
End
else?
of my presentation.
Okay. Can we move right into Carolyn? She's here. Okay.
I was told the board did not want any paper this year, and I did exactly what Kathy told me to do. So here I am with nothing for you and just my laptop. We'll see how this goes. So,
brought us candy.
oh, I did notice that, suck-ups. Yeah, I'm onto them. Yeah.
I was surprised how, I'm picking on Commissioner Farrell, man, he inhaled those things.
He has no meat on his bones. I don't know how he survives.
Yeah, they're gone.
All right, so you guys know I have a couple of different budgets. Only one, the auditors, is in the general fund, and Kathy asked me to focus on 3 facts for you. The budget reduction recommendations from the retreat provided a strong guiding framework for us to review each of the account line items and the historical costs and make changes. So I have 3 slides. That's it. I'm going to show you a slide where I agreed with OFM's recommendation. I made those reductions. The next slide is going to be, I met you halfway and here's why. And then the last slide is going to be areas that are out of my control and I wanted to bring to your attention. So the first slide highlights the areas, like I say, where we aligned, and I just made the cuts that OFM recommended. Those areas were computer software, phones. Those are largely because they're now in the IT allocation. Good decision. Select travel expenses such as mileage and other, and cut those by 50%, and less frequently used accounts such as repairs, leases, and rental equipment. So we agreed on those cuts. I made those cuts. The second slide highlights areas where I wasn't able to make the full recommendation, and I made partial reductions. I wanted to bring a more challenging consideration that I had during this budgeting process regarding travel, and I'm wondering how many people factored this in when making their cuts. My accounting staff recently sent out an email notification to departments so that they can plan accordingly for the passage of ESSB 5814. Right. So it expands the definition of retail sales to include conference registrations along with many other things. And you should keep this bill in mind because honestly, I see this is going to grow tremendously each year when Washington realizes this is a great way to make up for lost revenue. We're just going to start taxing all kinds of new services that weren't taxed prior to this. So travel's one of them. For example, tax rates vary, as you know, from county to county, location to location. And my association utilizes Seattle and Spokane. They're the only two cities that can accommodate the large association that we have. So using Seattle as an example, the current tax rate is 10.35% there. And when combined with ongoing inflation in food and cost beverages, it results in a roughly 13 to 16% increase per person for conferences. So mixed, that inflation mixed with the cuts was really tough. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because that bill also affects several of our contracts and services that
Yeah, so a great example of where it's going to have a major impact is our security contract with Northwest Enforcement. That is now taxable, those services, and they previously were not taxable services. So just on the Hall of Justice security alone, it's going to add about $45,000 a year to our bill. So she's right. It's going to have some impact on all of our departments that use personal services because those are now going to be taxable items.
And we really don't know the full impacts yet. We are right on top of Department of Revenue looking for guidance. Feels a lot like, COVID times during CARES and COVID funding days when they're doing things with no guidance. But yeah,
State is out of control.
I would just be watching this because as soon as they see this revenue rolling in, I expect it to grow into all kinds of different fields. But with that information in mind, I was able to reduce meals and lodging, tuition, and registration, each category by $500 each. And I made a slight reduction to printing and binding. Historically, while we haven't spent that much in that account to date, this is intentional. In the auditor's office, our strategy is to wait to the end of the year. We review our remaining funds and then we place bulk orders to get the best savings on things like paper and envelopes and printing. So the bigger our order, the bigger the discount. So while it may not look like we've spent that large budget, we typically buy for the next year. Stop me if you have any questions. Okay, this is the big one, the no reductions. And there are some areas where I would be amenable to some slight changes, but I wanted to bring to your attention some things. So these areas include office supplies, professional services and contract services, postage, cell phones, airfare, and dues and subscriptions. So office supplies, that's another one of those areas where we're intentionally strategic. That's actually where our paper comes from. And if we have a balance, we're going to order a large stock of paper at the end of the year to plan for the following year. So historically, we use those funds, and I don't think it's responsible to make a reduction if we don't have to. Postage is another area that's largely beyond our control. It's consistently rising in costs. We're required to mail the notices and tab renewals. They're unavoidable. Although we do everything possible not to overspend, but it's largely a requirement, not in our control. Cell phone charges. Well, it looks like we could have cut that cost. We're actually currently under budget, and that's because of the additional lines that were added, like many other departments. Legal made the recommendation that everybody should have a phone to use to be safe, and we've added lines which changed our monthly bill to where we're looking at roughly $2,900 annually instead, so I wasn't able to make those cuts there. Dues and subscriptions. This is the area where I had previously talked to you about some dues, for example, our Waco dues. These dues are going up because auditor services and needs are not getting met from Waco services. So we are hiring lobbyists. We have an RFP out right now for a lobbyist, which means in addition to inflationary costs, now auditors are looking at absorbing those costs for lobbyists in our WASACA dues. So not only could I not make the cut there, those costs are increasing. In addition, I have 5 divisions. We all rely on our association partners for training for all the changes that appear. That's GFOA, WFOA, and PREA for recording. So I built in a 3% increase for both those 26 and 27. And last one, I highlighted it for you. This is the area that I wanted to emphasize really. This is professional services and contract services, and it is made up almost entirely with our contract for CPA services. We've talked about this in our finance committee meetings in the past. These are required services and they grow. Whenever we take on new responsibilities, additional funds, it ends up costing us more in review, right? And I'm going to give you an example. I think this was the right decision for the county, but I want to give you an example of the reality of it. When the treasurer's office entered into an investment contract with GPA, absolutely the best decision for the county. We're making money on it. But what happened was it compelled us to do a complete rework of their financials. And in doing so, this year led to a misstatement of $1.4 million. It took CPAs, SAO, treasurer's office, auditor's office, accounting staff, weeks to track down something so minuscule. We were mixing 2 accounting types, amortization and fair market value, which led to an overstatement. Anyway, lots of money, and it would have led to a finding for the county had we not had the professionals looking into this. In addition, departments are constantly contacting us to make accounting changes that sound more efficient for the departments. Unfortunately, government isn't always based on efficiency. We can and can't make some of these changes that are requested, but we always rely on the professionals. A most recent example of that is our sheriff's office, who requested a new fund, which is somewhat unusual for sheriff's offices. So we consulted with the CPAs to make sure we are accounting for that correctly. Do you have any questions for me on any of this? Or are you all numbered out? Have they, it's 3 p.m. Everybody's been talking all day. I'm sure you just want to be done.
Of the services that you use from Waco, what percentage would you say you have to hire out that you are responsible for?
So for Waco's conference is next week. And I think there should be some discussions amongst all elected officials and the board to find out who's actually using those services, because they're charging all of us equally and it's only utilized by half of the elected officials. So, and I want to support the elected officials that use it, but here I am asking you for money when I'm being charged for services that they can't provide. So the only tool that we have to utilize is to say, hey, your billing mechanism isn't working for us. So,
And so do we subscribe to that as a county or
Yep.
do you? Oh, so it's not each elected office that does it?
yep, one bill to OFM each year for all elected officials. And I'll use an example. Out of the 39 counties, 7 auditors were registered this year for Waco, and it was so low in participation that WASACA just canceled. So we're not, typically, I would go because it's the one time out of the year that we get a free space to conduct our business meetings. And we just canceled. We're going to do it virtually so that we don't incur any costs. So we're being charged, but we don't, our needs unfortunately have surpassed what they are able to provide. And in their defense, they have to provide everybody equally. They have to treat everybody the same, and we're just not the same.
So you're saying as an auditor, they're not meeting your needs?
Not at all. In fact, like I say, 7 auditors out of 39 were registered for Waco. And when we found out the registration was so low, most of us canceled. So we'll just do our business meeting online and get business done.
Is it, I don't know if part of is the right word, but Wasack and them are hooked together or not?
I've never understood, this
They
will
operate out of
be
that same office?
the same building, but they're very different.
Okay.
And your fees, I know in the past, there was an effort to merge the two, and, everybody, you'll get those old timers that are really aligned with the people of an organization, and they're going to fight for them to help them out. And those people are moving on, and we're getting new people in office. And what you're seeing is we're changing, and something needs to happen. The model doesn't work anymore, but just something to look at in the future. But again, why I'm coming to you with a request.
And I would defer to you, Mr. Chair, about Wasack. I personally, because I'm not involved in it, I don't know that I see the value that they bring to the table myself, because I just don't see it, but
We have questions on that for sure.
yeah.
I would have to wonder what the cost of the county hiring its own dedicated lobbyist compared to paying all these associations.
Yeah, and that's a good point. There's an underlying kind of tone that some of the smaller counties maybe look at once in a while is, would it be more efficient to hire a lobby that kind of lobbied for our small county needs? Because a lot of the stuff we do at Wasack is not stuff I would really rally for for our county. We do it because we're trying to support everybody, and you throw, some of the bigger counties have different needs than we have. So, I think it needs to continue to be looked at, just like you're seeing there, yeah.
The billing model is what I'm opposed to. If my needs aren't being met, I no longer have a method in which to just pull my portion out. So they keep it one invoice, everybody gets treated the same. So off my soapbox.
With the Wasack billing, the counties aren't billed all the same? Is it based on size?
Oh, they're based on size, and of course, the biggest county, King County, is not even part of Wasack because they have their own lobbyists. They don't want to pay that fee. There's been talk, it hasn't happened at this point, that maybe Pierce and Snohomish should go that route too. And then those are the biggest funders of Wasack. So when you think about it, then the other counties, can Wasack even exist if they don't have those funds? So
Well, and I think to Carolyn's point, you're gonna feed the baby that's got the biggest mouth, right? I mean, and if we're not one of those counties that has that bigger subscription fee, how much attention are we actually gonna get from them?
yeah.
Yeah, each affiliate is allowed 2 priority bills. So, but as you know, as auditors, Yeah, we cover so many areas. We'll have 160 bills at any one time, meeting weekly, trying to digest the effects, the cost, what's going to happen, get out there and talk to the right legislators, make sure that they're educated about the impacts. But those two priority bills, it's a drop in the bucket compared to the defense
Yeah.
that we're
Well,
constantly paying.
And
Like,
that was the point I was gonna make. In reality, what happens is we end up just playing defense because bills come in so fast and furious. Alls you are is running defense, trying to fight stuff you're coming in. The opportunity to actual introduce something you like is rare.
And what, before the session even started the last time, what, they had 2,500
Yeah.
bills?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the whole time is picking out bills that we think are very detrimental and you're working, trying to change the language a little bit to make it less I want to throw up type stuff, you know?
exactly.
Well,
So it gets frustrating.
and my perception is with all the budget constraints that counties and municipalities are having put on them, those organizations, their fees aren't getting less, and I don't know that they're bringing more to the table to justify what they're charging at this point. And with everybody having to watch every nickel and dime because the state's after it, you gotta hold on to what you can and really evaluate what you're getting for what you're paying.
We had a discussion on it last year and I imagine we should probably have a discussion on it this year when those dues start rolling in.
Well, speaking about nickels and dimes, you will see, I hate to even bring this up, you will see more revenue from my office. I didn't forecast well because I don't know exactly what it'll look like. The new fees that were dropped on us for departmental licensing, there are so many that it took multiple trainings and I'm about 125 slides to break them all down. Luckily, they are the owners of the licensing software and they have to program all those fees into the software. But we will see a $1.50 increase on basic tab renewals, which should amount to a fairly significant increase. I know $1.50 doesn't sound like much, but when you're talking about everybody's tabs, it should amount to a fairly significant increase in our licensing revenue, which I don't jump up and down about because it's an additional fee, but I did want to let you know that we will see additional revenue. And I had some ideas about shifting costs and comparing to other counties and things that we have available to us. But before, I was going to bring it up in this budget presentation, but I got the new facility space bill. And so I have a horrible time just passing all these costs and new requirements onto the jurisdictions. And so I planned to say, hey, I have this opportunity, we always have in Cowlitz County, to take my salary and bill any portion of it really to elections. That's where I spend the lion's share of my time. Some auditors in some counties bill their entire salary to elections. But then I'm sorry, Kathy, I think it's another good idea, but it's a $25,000 increase in costs for elections. And I just couldn't, when I was crunching the numbers, I just couldn't pass on that much of an increase. But down the road, just know that it is something that we could look into. Shift some costs from the general fund into elections. Sorry, not to throw you under the
Which
bus there.
which is the fact that we looked at billing elections is shifting general fund cost over to elections. So, yeah. And so I feel for you. It would be if you did part of your salary and now we've got facility costs shifted to you too, that would be two things that you would be adding at the
A
same
lot,
time.
yeah, a
Yeah,
big hit,
big
right?
hit.
Maybe at a later time, we could phase in a percentage. Slow. But I didn't bring anything on elections. I mean, I have them here with me. They're pretty much status quo. The elections budget didn't increase. It really is kind of status quo. If you had any specific questions for me. Good, I'm boring.
You're good.
It's always good to be boring.
Not gonna label that, but yeah.
Or it's just 3 in the afternoon and you're done.
Let's say efficient.
Well, that's all I had. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy, are we expecting
We have,
or are you
the-
just,
because they were moving yesterday, that's why they weren't here yesterday.
okay,
We couldn't, that was just asking way too much.
yeah,
And they were moving, so, they are here to do their presentation,
okay.
and I'll bring it up for them.
Catch our breath from the stairs.
Yeah.
Welcome to our world. So are we still expecting Ryan's group too?
No, Ryan, he didn't think he would be back from a meeting, that he had to go to, so, we've moved him to another date.
Okay,
So he will be here. And so later, he'll be here, I think in October. So we have our clerk's office and they have a PowerPoint, and I'll push through it and turn it over to Stacy.
I don't have a whole big production for you today. Basically, the PowerPoint that I did is just kind of a thing for you guys on what the clerk's office does. We're kind of I don't know if you would call it an anomaly, but it's not really clear exactly what our responsibilities are to a lot of people. So I just kind of ran that down for you. My budget, I don't have any major changes. So I'm going to start just by telling you that we're responsible for all the records for Superior Court. Last year, in 2024, we clerked over 23,469 hearings. So we have to provide a clerk for the courtroom for all of those hearings. The clerk is responsible for exhibits and taking the minutes for what's happening in court. We received 1,939 exhibits that we were responsible for taking custody of last year. We filed 4,605 cases and 273,000 documents. All those documents have to be entered into our case management system. They are, our case management system has like 12 different tabs, and it's financials, it's hearings, it's judgments, all kinds of different tabs. And so it requires them to, each pleading can require several different tabs and sometimes different clerks. So for instance, we have our criminal clerks that will enter a judgment and sentence. And then that has to then go to our bookkeeper who sets up the judgment on that. Some of those documents get emailed or scanned out to other agencies, other departments. So we're responsible for making sure that those records are transmitted to where they need to go. We assist an average of about 100 customers a day at our front counter. That doesn't include the phone calls and the emails. We did not get a total for our phone calls, but we did handle over 204,000 emails last year. And the customer transactions at our window with those 100 customers can take anywhere from 5 minutes to 45 minutes. Sometimes we have customers that really need a lot of extra help. So we can't ever really predict what comes in at our counter. So that's a challenge when it comes to training. We also are responsible for appeals. So we have to prepare all of the appeals that are sent up to the Court of Appeals. We handle the appeals that are sent over to our office from district court. So if somebody loses their district court small claims case and they appeal it, it comes over to our office. We set that up and manage all the dates, send everything back to the judges for their review. Let's see. Archive scanning, we've got 805 boxes that we currently have ready to be scanned. Before we went on to scanning, everything was put onto Laserfish. We stopped doing Laserfish, it was on microfilm, and then we went to Laserfish, now we're on Odyssey. So all of those records have to be, the Laserfish transmitted over, the microfilm, we had that all transmitted over, and then we have case files that have had nothing done with them. 805 boxes of those. So that's one of the major projects that we've been working on for several years now.
Where do you put 805 boxes?
Huh?
Where do you put 805 boxes?
Upstairs in the jail, downstairs in the basement. We have a huge storage room on the second floor that we just emptied out and moved up all the storage up to the jail so we can use that during the HVAC project. So those case files and boxes were stored everywhere. And of course, somebody comes in and wants to see their case file, you have to figure out. We've got a great records department. She's got a tracking list of what cases are where so that they could run, and they might be going up to the jail to get a case file or down to the basement. Hopefully,
What kind of security do those have to have?
they're all public records. So the only security they really have to have is they have to be under our lock and key. So they're on our, the cells that are upstairs, we have the padlocks for. The basement rooms downstairs, we're the only ones with keys. They just have to be, safe from the elements, basically. So
Okay.
What's the retention limit we have to have those for?
forever. Superior Court records are kept permanently. So case files in Superior Court are retained forever. So we have things from a long time ago. So yeah, we don't have a whole lot things are sent to the state archives as well. So a lot of our really, really old things that have historical value have been sent to the state archives. We continue to monitor if anything needs to be sent to the state archives because we're scanning all the original documents now. We keep wills, original wills. And like I said, we check with state archives for what kind of documents they want to keep to maintain the originals. But our records are held permanently. The only thing we get to get rid of is like transitory, our bookkeeping records, reports, but case files are subject to forever and ever.
In a hard copy, or you can transfer them over to digital?
We can transfer them to digital. That's why it's so important that we get all those 805 boxes scanned in, because our microfilm was deteriorating. So the film itself was so bad that we sent it out to a vendor to have it done. And there's case files that are really, really hard to read because that deterioration has started. So we're really working hard to make sure that the originals that we still have, we get scanned in before they're damaged in any way. We did have some that were wet a few years ago. Down in the basement, there was a little bit of flooding, but we managed to get things dried out. And yeah, Superior Court records are pretty important.
Have you ever had to produce files that are 100 years old for any reason, unless somebody's writing a history book, I guess?
We have genealogy researchers that come in and want things. Yeah, we have people that come in and will sit at they used to sit at our microfilm machine and search through and look at case files. You get requests. Somebody wants to trace their ancestry, or there's some kind of property dispute and they want something that was done forever ago. So yeah, you do have to once in a while pull up some really old documents.
Okay.
So budget wise, like I said, we don't have a lot of changes. Our budget basically is employee costs. We have salary and benefits. That's our huge cost. We did some savings. Our overall savings for 2026, was about $37,000 $37,000. Just major, I mean, minor cuts, because like I said, our costs are staff related. We got rid of a few maintenance contracts, for instance. We don't have to maintain a contract on our microfilm machine anymore. We're getting everything scanned, so we got rid of that. That was a savings. We've cut down on our travel, our tuition, the things that we could. We're really watching our office supplies. We tend to have a savings there every year, so we watch that and make sure we are saving where we can.
What does it mean to have files scanned, proofed, to have them proofed?
So proofed is, what we do is we have 3 scanners. We have 3 people that are scanning. One person scans a case file or a document that comes in on a daily basis, and then one of the other scanners in our records department proofs those documents to make sure that nothing is askew. Everything looks, like I said, they're permanent records. So when you scan that original in, it has to be perfect. If there's something on a page that you can't scan really good, we have stamps that we'll use that say poor original, so it doesn't look like we missed something in scanning. But proofing is huge, because we've had cases come up where it's been scanned and there's a page missing. You can't recreate that once you've shredded that original, so.
So somebody's got to review every page that is scanned in to make sure that it's legible
Yep,
and there's no pages missing.
Yep.
Okay. Boy, I bet that's a fun job.
that's why one person scans, one proofs, and then another scans and another proofs. Nobody wants to sit. And that's one of the things that the staff out in the office do, is they help with the daily scanning too, if they have time,
Okay.
which doesn't happen very often. For one, there's a ton of work to do, and for another, nobody really loves sitting there proofing, but we do have people that come in specifically for that too. We have a part-time person that comes in and does a lot of proofing for us. I know,
Thank you.
monotonous. I couldn't do it.
Well, makes 2 of us. Jeez.
Any questions for me? I said, we kept it real simple with our budget and cut where we can. Our only major increase for 2027 managed to be IT costs, so we cut where we could. And we're continuing to watch this year's.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Short and sweet.
That's it for this week's budget workshops. We'll be back next week.
Kathy,
Yes?
one of the things that stuck in my head a few minutes ago, maybe I needed to ask Carolyn this question, but the personal services are now taxable. What all fits into that category? Is
Well,
it an easy list?
no, it's not. It's, and the good news is that if you have a contract that's already in place, that contract is exempt until the contract expires and you have to do a new contract. So there's a few that will be exempted right away because we're still in with the contract. But like I said, the one that's one of our largest ones is our security contract, and it is now taxable. And
Why is
so
that considered personal service?
because it's performed by an individual, so that's personal services.
Isn't everything?
I was gonna say, why is that?
Just about everything.
Isn't
I-
Telling you is everything you
Yeah,
have is gonna be
individual.
taxed, yeah.
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 Wait,
Yeah.
And these went into effect, I think, October 1, or will be going into effect. So it is a large list of items that will be taxed in. So
Do you know when the fees that Carolyn referred to, like the $1.20 or whatever for the tabs, when do those go into effect? No.
No, I don't know when those going to affect,
Wow,
but
it's
yeah.
incredible, just incredible.
How
yeah.
much vacation do you have before the end of the year?
I do have a week, a little over a week, and then I'm gonna take 2 floating holidays. So, yeah, but that's it. I'll
Right.
be here otherwise.
I think we just canceled December.
Um,
I know you gotta be here through the 4th, right?
yes, I gotta be here through the budget. I'm gonna be here through the budget, but, yeah, so, but one of the things I find very interesting in Washington is in Texas, all state agencies, they were exempt from sales tax. And so they did not rely on governmental agencies to pay sales tax. They relied on consumers. And so I find it when I came here, I thought, why do you have to pay sales tax? I was so accustomed to Texas where we were exempt as an entity of the state.
This is
this is the
Washington
state
State.
that-
We're not exempt
No.
from anything.
This
No.
is the state that thinks that EBT cards are a net gain in revenue. So-
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
that's-
my God. Yeah, oh, yeah, okay.
And just so you know, the state, they just sent out their revenue estimates. They just had an economic, and there's an article about it today.
Yeah.
That things are not as rosy, and they're expecting less revenues.
We heard about it
Yeah.
last night from Representative Orcutt, and it doesn't sound good.
Right?
This, yeah,
I wonder
I don't
why.
know
What did he say? A net negative 700 million
yeah,
when it's all said and done
yeah.
For this quarter or this year
for the fiscal period?
fiscal?
Yeah,
year?
it's, the report that I saw said for 25 and 20 through 27, negative 400. And then the next session, another negative 400 something. So a total of 900 million.
They can't seem to figure out that they can't tax themselves into prosperity. They keep trying over and over and over and over, and it just keeps spiraling and they don't get it. Anyway. Um, it affects us in the sense, and I talked a little bit about it last night, is when we see it in the sales tax receipts, because it really binds down the people and their spending power and stuff like that. And we see that in sales tax receipts, you know. You keep taking money out of their pocket, they don't have it to spend.
Yeah. It's a direct correlation.
And now we're seeing it, they're gonna tax services, so they're gonna take some more from us, which is basically just yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, they're hitting us on all levels. I just found out 2 weeks ago that the pheasant release program that they have on the west side of the mountain, that they're closing that down. And it's one of the only government programs that is, it funds itself. They
Yeah.
charge enough that it funds itself, and that they're looking at this being the last year to do that, because the money that it generates goes into the general fund. It doesn't have its own, departmental fund under pheasant hunting or fish and game or whatever it is. It all goes into the general fund. So that program, they're looking at do away with it, to do away with it. And the gentleman that was telling me about it told me that one of the board members on the Fish and Game board said that she was quoted as saying that this is 2025. We can't have people walking around with loaded guns.
Can't have a program that,
Yeah.
that
That
works. It's
Yeah, it
efficient.
works. It
Yeah,
funds itself, but-
That's a thing in Lewis County, because I grew up there and went to Centralia High School, where they had that big pheasant farm by the high school. It's been there forever.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's I would say that that's a call to all hunters, whether you pheasant hunt or not. They're coming after everything.
yeah, never stops.
No.
Okay, now we've brightened up today. Thanks for all your work,
You're welcome. You're
and
welcome.
we'll get back after it again next week, right? Okay,
Yep.
anything else, gentlemen?
I've got a couple of meetings tomorrow and Friday that are in conflict. And so I don't know, like, the AAA DSW, the aged that is at, Friday, and then also the COG meeting that are both happening Friday at 1 o'clock. Got a preference which one I go to or zoom in?
If you were asking me, I think probably COG is more
Okay,
preference. We kind of, Commissioner Rader and I gave Bill Fashing a little bit of marching orders on the whole watershed thing, so he might talk about that tomorrow.
oh, awesome.
Or Friday or whenever
Okay.
it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Did you want somebody to try to cover the other meeting for you?
Well,
Is that the aging one down in Vancouver?
well, the aging one is in Vancouver, yeah. And that's Council Conference of Governments is Thursday at noon. But this Council of Government, I guess I'm reading it, it says DSHS with Reardon.
Oh,
I don't think that's the same as the CW cog. I don't know. I'll do the cog meetings and figure it out. Go from there.
Yeah,
Are we all going on the family promise tour? Rick, are you doing that tomorrow or Wednesday? Yeah, tomorrow. Or is that just me? Okay. Okay,
I've been over there a couple of times.
I've got it on there for 1 o'clock, yeah.
so do I. Okay.
Yeehaw.
Wasn't able to find a video Land County. I wasn't able to tune into their discussion on moratorium on the TIF. But I did pull up their Facebook and the comments on it, and it sounded, they wanted the county to do a moratorium. They thought the port was out of control. That was a pretty strong message, at least the people that posted on
Yeah.
Facebook on that. So I thought I'd touch base with Doug again probably next week and see what's in it. If we want to do this, what kind of document do we need? I think we all agree we need to get ahead of that a little bit, and
Yeah, I think us passing a resolution to do that would be a good idea
Yeah.
based on input from other agencies that are thinking
Yeah.
along those lines.
it said in there they had a really good turnout, and the people were not happy with the port doing that, and they were talking much higher numbers than we were.
Yeah.
I want to say close to like six figures pretty much.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
I heard through the grapevine that one of the municipalities in our county is actually wanting to look at enacting a TIF.
yeah,
for one of their projects.
absolutely.
Which county?
Ours.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I had Brian Magnuson, talk to me. I went over to the kickoff meeting for,
Ron.
yeah. And, he cornered me before that thing started and said he was talking to one of the officials in Waukegan County that told him that the way things are going down there, that they're in so much financial trouble that he figures that Waukegan County will not exist in 2 years.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, either they'll have to become part of the county this way or going the other way.
Wow,
Somebody's gonna
interesting.
have to absorb them.
Hmm.
That would be wild.
I pictured wild is how would you pick that whole thing up?
I don't know.
with no extra help from Olympia,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Just another unfunded mandate.
yeah. It's-
That's interesting. I'll have to,
Huh.
next time I see one of their commissioners, I'll ask.
Well, that's exactly what Brian Maxon said when he told me about it. He said, isn't that wild? I said, yeah, that's about as far out there as you can get.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I point out, we talk about it quite often that we're a little bit unique and we're lucky we have a landfill that can contribute $7.5
Yeah.
million to it.
Yeah.
There's maybe only a couple counties there, less than a handful anyway, that have landfills and can have any of that kind of revenue, so we are fortunate that way.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Well, can we keep our head above water?
As long as we're in office.
Yeah, hope so.
Start working on my dog paddle.
Yeah.
Okay. We will adjourn.